Welcome back. This is Parent Life Show, and I am Katrina Ball, your host. And today we have Dr. Pete Talbot here with us, and she is a pediatrician, and she also specializes in obesity and weight loss management. And we also have Mellonie Furbert. She is a registered dietitian from the Department of Health. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Mellonie, are parents deluding themselves if they think that their children are just big boned or chubby?
You know, this is an interesting question, and I think some parents actually will compare their child to another child and evaluate that their child is okay because of that other child. But this seems to be the accepted norm in our society, and what we as health professionals have done is that we've established a standard under which we assess children so that we can objectively look at this, and when we do the assessment, we're able to see for the height and the weight whether the child is at an appropriate height and weight for their age and gender, and also to be able to track the growth trend. So if the height remains the same and the weight is continually going up, then the health professional may assess that the child needs a nutritional assessment. If the parent refuses, then I think they probably are in denial. Yeah.
Do you think that many parents nowadays are either confused or not educated on what the appropriate weight is anymore?
I think because it's the accepted norm, and they are used to comparing their child to another child, I think they're not looking as we are looking with this objective viewpoint according to the standard. The standard has been established looking at age, looking at gender, looking at ethnicity, and even looking at growth trends from around the world. So that we can actually say with a bit of confidence that even the ethnic people in our society can be evaluated by us here in Bermuda and be able to determine whether that growth is appropriate or whether or not it's too elevated as far as the weight is concerned compared to the height.
Right. Dr. Pete, what kinds of health risks can children be exposed to when they are overweight or even obese?
Like adults, and that's what we're actually seeing now with our children, is that they are experiencing some of the same health risks we see with overweight and obese adults, but they're getting them early in their childhood years. And the common ones are type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I think also kids are unique because they're still growing, so we do see bone-related issues. Some of those are hip problems, also bowing of the legs, and the belief is that we don't know exactly why this is happening, but our understanding is kids who are overweight and obese are more likely to have these issues with their bones, particularly with their legs and their hips. And the thought is that the weight that they're carrying is just too excessive for their growing bones that are still maturing. There's also other complications such as gallstones, and another big one is obstructive sleep apnea. And what usually kids will have with that is snoring, but it also and that we think is also due to maybe chubbiness and increased fat around the neck area, and that's an issue too for kids as well, and it's also for adults.
Do you think that cultural influence has anything to play in being overweight or obese?
I think so. Well, we can see it in our own Bermuda culture. Some of the foods that we eat that are very culturally Bermudian can tend to, if in excess, are going to lead to people being overweight. I think what we see across the board also is finances and lower economic status being a huge issue. So you can see some divide along that lines, and it may seem that it looks like it tends to be a more racial divide, especially if you have a little bit of discrepancy in your society where you have maybe more black persons in a lower socioeconomic status. What we find is that that's also a risk factor for being overweight and obese. And the question is why? Is it harder to be healthier if you are on a lower budget? And so or is it more challenging to choose healthier options when it comes to trying to change things for yourself? So I think that may tie into maybe some of the cultural differences that we might find, or why culture may have a play when it comes to children and adults being more overweight.
I think that, as you said, really does play a part, in where the obesity and overweight measures are going.
Yeah.
Do we see in Bermuda, are there any statistics on the level of obesity, or are we just in the overweight category at the moment? I guess by comparison to the U.S.
In comparison to the U.S., I think we are very, very close to the U.S. and in some areas surpassing. We definitely surpassed as far as adult diabetes is concerned, 13%. In the overweight for adults, it's 64%, so that's like 1 in 2 persons. And then in 5-year-olds, it's 1 in 3 persons, 1 in 3 children. So, our level of overweight and obesity is quite high. And the good news is that it's preventable, and if we just work as a country, being supportive in some of our policies, we can actually turn this around.
Do you think that there's an apathetic attitude among parents, among people, to lose that weight, to help their child lose that weight?
I wouldn't say that parents do not care. I think that as Dr. Pete said before, that some parents are just overwhelmed with life and the cares of life. They're struggling, and I don't think they are availing themselves to some of the resources that are available in the community that could assist them. And there are some valuable resources that could assist them.
Dr. Pete, how serious is type 2 diabetes?
Type 2 diabetes is very serious, and the fact that we're seeing it in children now makes it even more serious, because diabetes in itself comes with additional complications that can put a huge burden not only on the person but on the society as general, because you're taking more people out of a workforce. So diabetes can lead to eye complications, so blindness. It can lead to kidney complications, means kidney failure, dialysis, heart complications. People with diabetes are at higher risk for stroke, heart attacks. Also, they tend to have poor circulation issues, and so amputations. And from what I understand from being back in Bermuda and practicing, Bermuda has a huge amputation rate, which I'm not exactly sure why, but I know that that is an issue for us. And I know that we find it a little bit more higher than what it should be, based on other countries with the percentage of people we have that are diabetic. So there's some huge complications that can happen just from having diabetes.
Mellonie, this is just slightly off of the subject, but do you think pageants like Big and Beautiful glorify being overweight?
Of course. But we have to find beauty in everyone, And although it glorifies, I think it's necessary for people to feel beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough question because I think that those pageantries in general promote self-love, confidence, security in one's skin, and those are positive things. But health and wellness is also positive things too, and I think as a society you should be striving to get a balance between both.
Thank you very much, ladies, Dr. Pete and Mellonie Furbert, for sharing with us and being on Parent Life. I hope that the parents and those watching were really educated. And I want to also thank Southampton Princess for allowing us to film here. And if you are looking for a great place to have brunch, Windows is open on a Sunday. Or if you liked our video, then please subscribe on our website, www.bermudaparentmagazine.com. And this is the Parent Life Show brought to you by Bermuda Parent Magazine.